let's go to free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Free agency, little bit of a different story. You didn't really sign one starter on offense or defense. You really didn't sign very many defensive players at all. You lost a lot. But how do you grade the 49ers overall through their free agency and kind of what they lost and what they added?
Yeah, I mean, the key to the free agency is more of the losses than the additions. And, from the losses, they lost, to me, a couple of players that I thought were key components. But when you look at it from a realistic view, did they really lose? We're talking about Dre Greenlaw, didn't play last year. I don't care if he played a quarter and a half, didn't play last year. We're talking about Talanoa Hufanga, barely played last year. We're talking about these two guys that are looking for newer depths and higher heights on a different team, which would have cost the 49ers clearly some money. So are they really losses? From an overall view, we feel that way because they contributed so much to this franchise, the time that they were here, the tenure that they were here. But to me, losing those guys like that, I mean, we lost several free agents, Travarius Ward, Elijah Mitchell, like all guys that I felt like contributed at one point. We're not going to focus on health, but that's probably a reason why they weren't brought back, just to overlook things. So it's a C me. It's an average. I felt like free agency was just very average. They didn't add any key components. We can sit there and say, oh, we added this guy for special teams. We added this guy for special. I don't want to add people for special teams. I want to add high quality starters that have to play special teams, unfortunately, because they can't win the start. Like, you get what I'm saying? I feel like for me, it's a C, mid-tier, mid-range. They didn't really attack it to bring in. I don't care about them spending the money. Clearly, they didn't want to spend money. They attacked it the way that they wanted, but I felt like they could have went after maybe key component on the offensive line. They didn't really address that in the draft either. They could have went after another key addition to the defensive front. Maybe bring in another edge rusher just to give you some volume at that position. They didn't really address free agency in the ways that I thought that they would have. So it's a C for me.
Yeah. So you gave them a C. I went with the D. I wanted, initially it was an F, but the way that they have allocated, if it was just stash all your cash and cap and whatever else, but they have allocated that in the extension. So I've factored that in with the, signing Warner, signing Kittle, signing Brock. Love that it got done so early. So I bumped that up. And if you want to go higher than a D, I don't have a problem. But you lost a lot. And I think probably the biggest issue for me is you don't have depth. My biggest issue with this roster, I was texted with Rick, my good friend, and the whole issue was okay, what are the issues of the 49ers moving forward? You don't have depth. The rookies have to hit. I think you did very well in the draft. We'll talk about that next. But everybody's got to stay healthy because you do not have depth, and you've got to have a 50% hit rate in the draft, which is
okay.
That's rare.
I kind of disagree.
Okay, good. I love it.
I feel like they have depth. We just don't know it yet. We don't know of the depth. We drafted literally depth players, right? And you talked about the draft, so I didn't include the draft with free agency. I don't know if you wanted me to, but
no, that's separate.
Okay.
Separate.
Okay.
Sorry, I was going ahead.
No, and that's cool. But I feel like the reason why maybe they didn't attack free agency to build more depth is because they knew they had tons of draft picks, and they also wanted to give these guys a shot. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but I think the depth is there. It all comes down to which position are you referring to? Is it offensive line depth? I feel like we have depth. We just don't know if they can start. But I feel like everybody on the offensive line, not named 3 to 5 starters, are probably good depth players, and we're going to find out soon in camp. Defensive line, I feel like they could have added a little bit more depth there, but they tried that last year, and it didn't really pan out. So they really focused that on the draft this year, you could tell. As far as the secondary, that's all they added in free agency. I felt like out of the 7 free agents I think that we added, I think 5 of them were secondary players. You know what I mean? Maybe we had 8. I think you got John Weeks as a long snapper. You drafted a linebacker, but he's whatever. But I think the majority of them were safeties and corners, if I'm not mistaken. So they definitely added depth in the secondary.
Yeah, safety position for sure.
But I'm curious to know where you wanted the depth to be added. That's why I said I kind of disagree.
Yeah, defensive end and
Okay.
defensive tackle. Those were like the big two, and corner. I think that those are the three biggest weaknesses heading it before free agency, headed into the draft, and now even post draft, post free agency. I still don't think that you have depth. I think that you have three, maybe four defensive ends that are rosterable in the NFL. Yeah, Bosa's incredible. Mikael Williams, he's going to be a day one starter. Eter Gross Matos, I don't mind rotating. And Sam O, I don't mind rotating. You got no speed rusher anywhere in that mix. It doesn't exist.
You do have the speed rusher because you drafted him as a speed rusher, and I'm not sure how Salah's going to use him. So I will say that
you talk about Robert Beal Jr.
I'm talking about Robert Beal Jr.
That dude has, and maybe he does develop, but he's been a run-only player for his entire rookie thing.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, broski. I'm telling you, I think he was used wrong. He came in here and he was just used wrong. He was a Steve Wilkes under Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes is a coverage guy. Then he had to go to Nick Sorensen. And then he made him gain weight. Like, it was just weird, right? So maybe under Salah. I'm saying maybe he gets it right. Maybe that's why they chose not to address depth, speed at the depth at that position, because maybe they feel like they got the guy. Maybe Salah's like, yo, I could get him to work. Maybe. Yeah, big maybe.
And we'll have to see what that is. I just, the corner position, I'm just like, man, who's your third outside corner? I have no clue.
Okay, listen, you speaking my language, bro. I can't tell you. Maybe it's a young guy. Yeah, maybe Salah picked somebody he likes in this draft that he feels like has tendencies of guys that he drafted prior. It could come in here and give us a good run for the money. You know, Trey Brown, maybe he's going to be, I don't know. They did address the position. We're going to figure it out, though.
Shout out to my man, Phil. He's the best. We keep adding free safeties, but we need a strong safety.
Bro.
I don't know what the long-term plan is, but I do know that it is Malik Mustafa.
Yep, he's
and
hurt.
Either Jair Brown or Marquise Siegel, if that's the long-term plan.
Correct.
Now, you did bring in, this is the one area in free agency that you brought guys in. Pinnock, Richie Grant. Like, there are bodies at the safety position.
All box safeties. I'm sorry.
All of them.
All of them. Even Marquise Siegel. You drafted another box safety. Now, he has the speed to play the range of free safety. But when you look at him and where he is, he's a tackling guy, plays good against the run, plays around the line of scrimmage. I don't know, Phil. I don't know if this position exists anymore for the San Francisco 49ers because of the style of defense they play. We're not in a lot of cover one. I don't know. I don't know if it's more cover three and quarters defense. I hear them talking about that all the time, John. And I think that's where you talked about simplifying the defense. And I think because of the quarters coverage that we play, you don't need the free safety. You just need safeties with range.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, though.
No, one of the things whenever I watched the Jets tape with Robert Saleh the past 2 years, like, he did a lot of cover one. And so
it's weird. But maybe it was because of who he had in his personnel.
You had elite corners on the outside. Yeah. Not saying the 49ers don't, but like Sauce, DJ Reed.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't know. I just know it's weird that in year 9, I don't think, and coming from a general manager that played strong safety, coming from a general manager that played the position, I don't think there's such a thing as free safety. I just think you need range. But
what do they say? They're completely interchangeable now.
Interchangeable.
They want.
Yeah. I'm not feeling that. Give me a motherfucking ball hawk.
I'm with you there. Whenever I see number 27 lined up as a single high safety, I start having heart palpitations. And it's not because I'm an anti-Jair Brown guy. That's not where he's supposed to play. In coverage, in man, or in filling that lane, that dude needs to be close.
It's funny though, John, because if we sat, which would be ultimately boring, if we sat one day this week and we watched 2023 film from Jair Brown, guess where he played?
Yeah, he played a lot of free and back safety. Hufanga was up front.
And it was good. And I'm trying to figure out if this changing of the guard as far as coaching, assignments, it confused the hell out of him. I wouldn't be surprised if Jair Brown bounces back and just has a phenomenal season under Robert Saleh.
I'd be so happy.
Because he's also a guy that likes to thump and hit. He had a lot of missed tackles last year. I think my issue with him more was poor angling and missed tackles last year.
Yeah, that was bad. Look at this. Kawachipto. Love Kawachipto. He says, bold take. Jacob Robinson, the undrafted free agent, will be free safety over Siegel. Let me tell you this. Ray Brown, the new defensive back safety coach.
There you go. BYU.
Guess who recruited Jacob Robinson in college in that relationship? Whenever we had him on the show, like he was like, oh, I know Ray Brown. Like, yeah, we text. Like, that was 100% a Ray Brown addition there. Now, he played nickel outside corner.
I was getting ready to ask you, like, yeah, but he's interchangeable, right? Like, he's versatile, I mean. Again, I know what I had to ask you, John. Is there a safeties room and then a cornerbacks room, or is it all a DB's room?
Yes and no. So, like, a lot of times when you're doing run fits, the safeties will usually work with the linebackers. And whenever you're doing kind of your pass whatever, they'll work with the DBs.
Corners.
And so even whenever you go to practice, you'll do corners by themselves, safeties by themselves. But anytime you do scale or whatever else, they come together. So
that's tough for a rookie.
It's like the tight end position because you've got to work your run fits with the front guys, and you've got to work your pass fits with the DB guys. So
so in my opinion, I feel like that's got to be tough on a rookie, whether they're drafted or undrafted. That's a lot of work. That's extra rooms, extra meetings, extra film. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like why, like in the draft process, they were like, teams just need to tell Travis Hunter, you're either playing wide receiver or you're playing DB. Like, because it's just a lot to take in, regardless of how athletic you are. I think it's going to come down to like mentally overloading with stuff. And that's when players kind of make a lot of mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that any of our guys are going to make mistakes. I'm just saying.
It ain't going to be like last year where you're having busted coverages as a man for 16 straight weeks.